What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I got Danny Schneider. Oh, you remember Danny Schneider, the cultural vultures himself. Yeah, he's the front man of the band, Cultural Vultures. And he's got some new stuff that's in the works. I think he's got a contest that he wants to be a part of, and maybe you can help to jettison him forward into the future, into his next goal. Yes. So I'm looking forward to speaking to Danny Schneider in the next few minutes. This week's shows, I have one public show that you could visit with me at. It's my usual Friday night gig at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you. If you've never sang a song before, if you've never done karaoke before, that Friday night is your night, because you'll be there at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas with all your friends, having some drinks, having some food, playing some pool. There's a pool tournament on Friday nights, so if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're waiting to sing on stage next to little old me, well, you can do it there. And we also cleared out some space on the dance floor. So if you feel the urge, get up and boogie, as it were. Man, am I old? Who says boogie anymore? Just me. Nah, not just me. I think a lot of people like to get up and boogie. And, this Friday night happens to be 80s night. So dress in your proper 80s attire and get a discount. How about that? Are you down with the discount? I believe it. You are. Okay. And that goes from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. That's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night. And then Saturday and Sunday, since it's Independence weekend, I got parties on both days, the 2nd and the 3rd. So exciting. But unless you're invited, you cannot come. I got one party in Greenbrier, Arkansas, and then I have another party in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And that's Saturday and Sunday, respectively. As of right now, the 4th of July, Monday, it's going to be my day of rest, or maybe I'll break out. Oh, my goodness. I was driving around town, and I found a lawnmower. It said free. And it's a Briggs & Stratton 21-inch, Troy-Bilt 220. And that's like a $350 lawnmower, and sitting there on the side of the street. I noticed that the homeowner had just bought a brand new a riding lawnmower. And here I have this little bit of grass that needs to be cut. And I was thinking, I need to get a new lawnmower. And there's a free lawnmower right there. Put it out to the universe. And it may happen. Speaking of that, Danny Schneider, last time he was on the podcast, he talked about putting it out to the universe, and it may happen. So he doesn't like to tell people about his projects before they're fully cooked, because if you put it out to the universe, like the name itself, Cultural Vultures. If he put this the name Cultural Vultures out there, the website company took the .com version of it, and then there's another band called Culture Vultures. What? Copyrights, trademarks. Oh well. Let's get into it with Danny Schneider. Skyping Danny Schneider now.
How's that?
Danny Schneider. Oh, the life-saving version of Danny Schneider. I see. Well, okay, the brick wall behind you could be a comedy club, but it's probably a firehouse.
Yes, it's a firehouse.
Well, last time we talked, man. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, it's your old pal KeysDAN. Finally, face to face. Last time we talked, we did a phone interview, and since then I've kind of evolved, and I got into this Skyping, so I could do the audio version of the podcast and also the video version so people can see you if they choose, if they're not driving around or doing something that negates them being watching videos. But Danny Schneider, the cultural vulture, so much has happened in the last couple of years since last we spoke, man. What's going on? Catch up with me.
Not much. I did, I think, 2 more albums since we last spoke, and a slew of videos. I was the first artist signed to Sound Mojo's new record label, which is from Watch Mojo on YouTube, and I think that goes out to like 22 million subscribers, something like that. But I luckily was the first artist that they came across and signed me, and that released my videos on their channel and whatnot, which was kind of interesting. Doing that and performing, did a couple live shows, and then during the COVID thing, we did some live video shows and like a live festival type opportunities, which was pretty neat to do that as well. Just been writing more music and writing. I'm working on a 4th album currently, and just still beating away at it, just chipping away at this thing that I don't know if it's worth it or not, but I love to do it, so I do it.
Yeah, if you love to do it, it's worth it, man. I think we spoke about that before. If you do this for the money, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you do it because you love it and you have to do it and you have no other choice but to do it, you have it all inside you and you have to let it out, then keep on going, man. Yeah, last time we talked, you had 2 albums in the bag, 10 songs each. And you were promoting those, and you were just about to release your 3rd album, and I think that's already happened. But, the people, all right, if you've been listening to this podcast, my loyal listener, you know a lot about Danny Schneider. You know that he lives in Northern Kentucky. You know that's close to Cincinnati. You know that he's an airport firefighter, real American hero. You know that he also builds furniture. That was something that kind of popped up. Wow, he builds his own furniture. He travels, somewhat around the world. He's classy. He knows about culture. He knows about things that people that funded the Renaissance. Those cultural tips that you
the Medici family,
you think here in the United States something that's really old in the U.S. Maybe 200 years old, and we think, ooh, that's old, or 250 years old, ooh, that's ancient. No, you go over to Europe, and they have things thousands of years old that are man-made. The culture, the history, and you get to be a part of that. But I think we ended last podcast, and I want to begin there with energy, with the energy that you get from crowds when you're in front of an audience and you feel the energy. We're all connected. Have you had that experience? You said you were playing some shows since last we spoke. Tell me about the shows that you've been playing and what kind of energy, what kind of feel, what kind of vibe.
It's definitely. So there was a big difference between filming just a live show during COVID with no audience, as opposed to doing actual live shows in the moment. Because for me, I have to, for me to really get into it, I have to really feed off of the crowd. I have to feed off of, it's a sort of a symbiotic relationship. What I give them, hopefully I get that in return as well, and we just kind of play back and forth off of each other, and it just becomes a really fun time. When I was playing for the video and stuff like that, just during COVID, it was I felt uptight and just more focused on my not messing up, that kind of stuff like that. you kind of lose something like that when you're not really performing for anybody. I mean, you are, but like you're not there with them. Like they're behind a screen or behind a phone or whatever platform they're watching it on. So it gets a little tricky with that. You know, I'm actually in the running through this website called Open Act, and they selected me and some other bands to actually be a part of opening for Coldplay and the Black Eyed Peas at the Hollywood Bowl. So I'm sure there's a bunch of artists that they probably selected, and it's all done by votes. You know, so if you go to the openact.com website, then they will you can vote for whoever you want, and you know we're on there as well. My band and like all the music that I've written is on there, and so it's kind of cool to do that, to be considered to even be able to possibly open up for a band like those two, you know, which are huge megastars.
Well, Danny Schneider, they've just achieved a whole nother level, a different level. But I think, man, listening to your music, Danny Schneider, the cultural vultures, that music that you've been putting out, it is like the perfect blend between Coldplay and the Black Eyed Peas, because, you know, you got the musicianship, the you know, the real musicians, the violins, if you watch, man, I was watching your YouTube, and that last video that you have, or that one that's up in the top, it's mesmerizing. You're all in one room. You know, you have a drummer off there. The whole room is carpeted, so it really deadens out the sound. So really, you're gonna get that nice, rich sound straight through the microphone without too much feedback. But listening to it in my headphones, and you know, just a little bit ago, I'm listening, and it's so cool that you did this in one room with all the musicians together. That is so rare nowadays. Most of the time, you know, I hear of every musician plays their own little part, and the engineer, somewhat like a film editor, would be putting it all together. You know, the magic all happens in that one person's ear. But doing it all together in one room, what's the difference between the two? How do you feel?
It's definitely tricky, you know, like when I'm writing the albums, like I have I want to use all the instruments, you know, I want to use everything that I can. And but when it comes down to, you know, playing that, like figuring out how to play this live, then it's like, oh, okay, well now we got to figure out how to do this part and which parts are what. And you know, you have almost an unlimited tracks when you're recording. You know, if you want to add in, you know, a whole orchestra, you can, but like that's a lot. It's a little trickier when you're performing live. So we had a quartet, and then we had, you know, the bass and the drums and the guitar and that sort of thing, and but it really like opened up and worked. You know, everybody played their parts, and it really came together. And you know, that's when we perform. Like if we perform these bigger shows, and that, like that's what we're gonna come with. We're gonna come with the orchestra. We're gonna come because it's gonna be a whole show to really let somebody just feel what's going on, you know. And I feel like I love electronic music and I love all that stuff, but I feel that, like, you know, the stringed instruments and like the guitars and all that I feel personally that is something that we're starting to drift away from, and I kind of want to bring that back, is like those real instruments. And you know, everything that I have on my albums and that I have is all written. There's no samples of anything. Like everything is played, and there's no like synth strings or anything like that. Like everything on the albums is all real strings and real cellos, real violins, real violas, all of that. So it's and then when you put it all together, and it's kind of really cool, like especially like because I'll write these songs and I'll write them like in just at my desk and in my house and just on my guitar, and then when I get to that point to where like there's all these people that are involved with me playing with me, it's another experience. It's kind of I can't explain, it's like I just am drawn and taken to another place.
Well, that's what you do, man. And that's the other part. I said you were somewhat like Coldplay with the real instruments, but last time we spoke, you're also like the Black Eyed Peas in that you have some electronica, but I guess you're moving away from that. When we last spoke, you had just picked up this Moog synthesizer with all these knobs and dials and different settings. Did you put that up on the shelf? Is it collecting dust now?
No. I still use that, but that's it's for real subtle sounds. Like you almost don't realize that you hear it, sort of like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, like when they do a score, they have all of these like beautiful subtle sounds that they're doing for movie scores, and so I'll add a lot of those elements that they kind of like push the song along, and then might add a little intensity or something like that, but like the listener doesn't always realize what they're hearing, and I use it in that respect just for the subtleness of it. So like I'll mix that definitely in with the strings and with everything else, and it kind of brings it into like a 21st century feel doing that.
Well, I appreciate the stripped down rock and roll of Metallica back in '88 when they first, came out on the scene, 3 or 4 pieces. But then, years later, they added strings to all their original songs, or some of them anyway, and it just filled them out. It just made them that much bigger and more. Wow, what an amazing sound. Someone like Coldplay does, you're trying to open up for them, but I think that you would feel that flavor. 2008, when Coldplay really made it big on the scene with Viva La Vida, they had a church bell. Bang! And I'm watching the video of that because I'm very visual. I'm a child of MTV. I remember when MTV first came out. Then video, it didn't necessarily kill the radio star, but it definitely enhanced them. It told them, you better start getting pretty. You better start getting your visuals down. But watching Coldplay, bang, and they're banging on that church bell. Who would have thunk adding a church bell to a rock song? Amazing.
Yeah, I've actually on my track Time. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It's kind of like I look at it like you're taking steps. Like it starts off kind of slower and it builds and crescendos, but it's almost like you're walking up a mountain, and then at the end the mountain kind of topples over on you, but there's the same thing in that. There's bells in there, and in the studio we were hitting them with a hammer, each note, because each bell is a different note, and we were hitting the different notes to go with the piano that I was playing as well, and just to add like a little element to it. But it was doing the same thing. We were using bells, but hitting them with like this big mallet, like a hammer. And it was kind of interesting and to use. I think that's the only song that I used actual bells on, but it definitely added a different element to it.
Well, people perusing your YouTube page, there's a lyric video for that song, and I was playing a little bit of the intro while you were talking just underneath you a little bit. And it's pretty cool, man. Yeah. It is beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really proud of that song, like that one, and there's my song "Surreal Sister" has like that big orchestral part in the front of it, and then it goes right into like a faster paced rock song. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Well, is it starting out? Okay, the video version of it kind of starts out with a story, or it's kind of strings.
Yeah, that's it right there. The strings. It's this beautiful piece that myself and Richard Dinsky wrote together, and then it goes right into the song, which is like a faster paced kind of song.
Beautiful, beautiful. Who's the redhead that's visualizing it?
The girl in there, she was a friend of my videographer. There's a guy that I work with. His name's Cam Johnson, and I don't know a lot of people, and he knows everybody. And he was like, "I'll bring some people in," and she was worked out well and wanted to do it and be a part of it.
And there's a gentleman that's kind of a contortionist. He's doing like a little dance there. Maybe an Asian gentleman.
Is that on the Surreal Sister?
In
video?
the Surreal Sister, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a woman. She plays a witch, because it's kind of what the song was.
Yep.
What I wrote it about was some of my friends that are really into that stuff. So I was kind of inspired to write a song about that, and so she plays that part, and then. The other guy, he was another guy that my videographer introduced me to, and he was like, "You should, he'll do whatever you want." I was like, "All right, well, let's see what we can do." So we tried to make this story kind of like just off of like old '80s horror type of thing, but I don't know how well it transcended with the song, but we tried our best.
Yeah, I mean,
on a limited budget.
Yeah, the original videos were pretty much a concert that was filmed. For the most part, the rock videos were a concert with a live audience, and maybe you had 3 or 4 cameras running around trying to capture, and then you had once again an editor that did all the magic. But in the lyric videos, it may not even have the band in it. It may be visuals that get put together by a company or someone who's a fan of the music that will put those together.
It was somebody who was a fan, and I said, yeah, go ahead and do a lyric video, and I gave him the lyrics, and he did that. He did all those and everything, and because I wanted something. It's weird, like in today, like back in the 80s and 90s, you could just listen to CDs and like. That was enough, and in today's world, like you almost have to have some sort of visual for people to pay attention, and that even goes like people don't read liner notes anymore. But like if you put it on a screen with some stuff going on behind it, they'll read the lyrics then.
Well, that was one of the things that you spoke about last time was, does anybody read lyrics? Like there were whole pages, whole websites devoted to lyrics, and I was very fascinated by those because there's a lot of misheard lyrics. And you were talking about during COVID where you're performing on your own, and it kind of reminded me of when I'm by myself at a terrestrial radio station speaking out into the ether. And wondering, is anybody out there? Like Pink Floyd would have said, is there anybody out there? You just don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, I think.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like you don't know who's listening, who's paying attention. And it's weird. Like I'll look at one of the things that I have access to is like the artist access to like Spotify and iTunes, and like you can kind of see in real time like who's listening to your music, but not like who, but like it'll just have numbers in it, but then it'll tell you like what countries, and it'll be like there's 10 people in Pakistan right now listening to one of my songs, and I'm like that's kind of surreal in itself. Like I wrote something that somehow reached across the world, or like there's 20 people right now in Russia, or whatever, and it's strange. When you come across that kind of stuff, like, well, who are these people that are listening? Well, and it's kind of
Danny Schneider, you being somewhat of a world traveler, somebody who likes to, if you can't really go, but you'd like to go, if you hear those 10 people in Pakistan, those 20 people in Russia, don't you, as an artist, want to just pick up, put your guitar in a bag and just go to those people and play? Isn't that an idea that you might have, that hey, there's 10 people out there that want to listen to my music. Maybe they'll bring a couple friends if I go out there and play for them live.
For sure, yeah. Like, and that's where like getting on a show where it already has like a fan base and whatnot. That's where that's helpful, because I mean you can write good music, but you don't ever know if people are listening or paying attention or not. But then if you connect them with somebody who they do pay attention to, then they start listening to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. And for sure, I mean, that's what it's all about, is sort of being a troubadour in that respect, and traveling the world, and just kind of bringing people together. Like that, there's been concerts that I went to, like, where you felt that vibrational energy as a crowd, you know, and like the crowd and the artists that are on stage are all in sync together, and it's a beautiful moment. Like when you can reach that level, and that was kind of like going to concerts like that when I was a kid, like that kind of pushed me to want to do this like more, because I want to bring that same level of pure vibrational energy to a crowd, and that happens in numbers, and it happens when everybody's on the same page and they're singing the songs together and they're happy, and like that's why people, I think, love going to concerts. And to be a part of that on some small level, like is kind of a big deal to me.
Well, one of the amazing things about this internet thing is it can be used for evil, but the good thing that you can do is you can find your people, find your tribe. There was geeks in the corner such as myself reading comic books all by myself because I couldn't find people that wanted to read comic books. But if I had this internet, I could find a whole crew of people and Comic Cons and a whole bunch of people that would want to watch, play, read comic books with me. And then there's, the same thing for D&D and people that want to listen to a certain type of music. You may be finding your tribe out there in the Middle East. I mean, there's bands here that locally they may get a little bit of love. Maybe in Northern Kentucky, you're getting a little bit of love. Maybe in Cincinnati, you're getting a little bit of love, but you might find some people in South America that are really digging that cultural vulture sound, that Danny Schneider sound. And then, hey, I want to go to them. I want to be a part of that, and bring my sound to them. I mean, what an amazing, I mean, are you thinking about world traveling, or are you keeping it close to home for now when you do your shows? I know you got a day job, you got to save some lives. That's the important thing, but there might be some time off when you can go around the world.
Yeah. I mean, I've traveled as much as I could, been to Australia and Ireland and all over Europe, and I'm going to Hawaii in July next month, and I'm all over South America, and I'm like, yeah, I love traveling, and that's one thing that traveling has taught me too, is that wherever you go, like you can find your people, like they're everywhere, all around the world, like they're like, and that's something I think that we forget as human beings, especially like, the internet brings us together, but there's also like a disconnect in the regular human experience that people have, because there can be too much of one thing, there can be too much internet and too much of an online presence, where like you start to kind of drift away from the human experience. But like when you travel and like you kind of forced to be in that human experience, and then it puts you back in that perspective that I think everybody needs, and that is that everybody, we're all the same, and like we may not get along with everybody, but our people are out there all over the world, like we're the same people, and it's kind of a beautiful thing when you find other people that are like-minded or read the same books as you, and like like you can be halfway across the world, and you look at somebody like, you read Master and Margarita? That's insane. Like that's awesome. Like, and then you have like a commonality, you have a common interest, and that's like another great thing, is people connect over that, books and music and art and all of that. Like that's what connects us.
Well, that's another thing. You spoke about social media. When we start delving into finding only people that are like ourselves, then we kind of limit ourselves, not just politically, but also culturally, and we don't expose ourselves to other things, other likes, other foods, other styles. We say, oh, I only like blues, so I'm only going to be in a group of people that like the blues. I remember last time you spoke, you had just given up Facebook completely because you thought, well, it wasn't the right fit. So you've broken yourself down to Instagram and YouTube, because and then maybe all the other platforms for sharing your music. Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still. I have Instagram. I've actually deleted Instagram, and then I realized that, like, unfortunately, like, it is something that I have to have. I had, like, I don't know, 10,000 followers or whatever, and I deleted it. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the Instagram thing. And then I just recently started it back up again, maybe within like 2 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, I know you're under
it is what it is.
Yeah, you're under the Surreal Sister, but I believe there's lots of people like you that have broken down just to the Instagram. That seems to be the place you can put out your shows. What is it? The things I usually do is post and ghost. Don't look at any comments. I'm posting to let you know where I am. Here's a picture of some people that I was playing with before, and then turn away. Go find something else to do. Go have a chat with Danny Schneider for about an hour and find out what's going on with him. And it's nice. It's nice to have actual conversations. I noticed that you even changed your website. It used to be culturalvultures.org because you had a problem with the .com people. Somebody bought that from under you and tried to charge you buku amounts of money. So you got catchhellforcomfort.com. That's one of your songs, right?
Yeah, it's just one of the songs, and just because the culturalvultures.com wasn't available, and I was just like, this will suffice, and it's just a place to have, I think I have my vinyl records on there, and if you want one, I'll send it to you, and then the videos and that sort of thing. It's just there's nothing crazy to the website or whatever. It's just something to look over briefly if you're interested, and it has links.
Well, I mean, anybody these days needs to have a home base that becomes your billboard, as it were. Wait a minute, I'm hearing a call. Do you have to go out and put an airplane out or something?
No, not right now.
Airport firefighting. Foam everything.
Yeah. we definitely have that. It's a pretty fun job.
Well, I remember I was in Key Largo's fire department, and we were pretty elite. And the Ocean Reef Fire Department was kind of a public safety, and we got called to assist them on a car accident. Hey, come up and help us on this car accident. Okay, so we get called out. I show up on the scene. They're putting foam on this brand new BMW that barely had like a fender bender. And I said, there's no fire. Why are you putting foam on this brand new car? You're going to eat all the paint off of it. Oh, our protocol says we need to put foam on it. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's weird. Like that's a thing that's different, depending on where you're at, like, 'cause different departments have different protocols, and, I wouldn't say anything against what somebody else ever did, but we would definitely take that into consideration.
Better to err on the side of
something like that if the car's totaled or something like that.
Yeah. Better to err on the side of caution. Okay, yes, if there was a spark, yes, err on the side of caution. I completely agree with that. But my goodness, I felt so bad for that car owner that all the paint got eaten off of that car. But it was safe. It definitely was safe. But sure. I know we talked a lot about firefighting the last one. I don't want to bore the people with that, or maybe some people are interested. I know we discussed a little bit about your day job, and here you are at the airport. For people that are listening to the audio version, that's why the airplanes are flying overhead. The man's at work. There could be a call. He may have to go save a life. So we might have to put music on hold for a minute. But while you're there at the firehouse on your downtime, are you able to write some things? Do you bring that beautiful white guitar with you to work from time to time?
No, I don't bring that to work. I usually write everything out because we're here for 24 hours, and like at nighttime or whatnot, I'll write out stuff like with notation or something like that, and then use it that way, and then I'll go home and try and play it to see if it works right or if it doesn't. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I'll forget exactly what I was thinking about. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll write that down, and then I never do, and then I forget. It's gone. It's lost to the ether somewhere. Sometimes you have to, when you get a melody or something, like you have to record it like immediately in your phone, and then figure out, kind of reverse engineer it, and be like, okay, well, what key is this in, and what am I, like that sort of thing.
Well, that guitar that you're playing in the live in the studio video, the one that's in the on the YouTube right now, what kind of guitar is that? What is that?
That's it's a Gretsch Billy Bow. So Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, and he kind of reinvented Bo Diddley's guitar. Bo Diddley did a guitar like in the 50s, and everybody thought it was too futuristic and weird looking, which is why I liked it. But it has these T.B. Jones pickups in it that's kind of limited to Gretsch, and to me, I just love the way that they sound. They sound fuller, and I love playing that guitar. And I have that one. I have a Gibson Les Paul Custom. It's flat black and just kind of a workhorse guitar that also sounds good. And then I have a Hummingbird Pro acoustic guitar that is on all the albums, and pretty much every single song has that guitar on it. But yeah, there's that one just records really well, and it's also kind of a workhorse, so kind of like a J45, but it's a Hummingbird Pro, and it's just a beautifully sounding guitar, and it keeps getting better with age.
And it's flashy as all get out, man. It looks really nice. You said it's a Gibson or a Gretsch?
I have two. The white one is a Gretsch. That's my Gretsch, and then I play that, and then the Gibson. And but I try not to get obsessed with guitars and like buying new guitars. You know what I mean? It's a rabbit hole that you can go down. It's very expensive, and I try to limit myself sometimes too, like with not like a ton of pedals and whatnot, because sometimes too much can hinder the creativity part, just because it just takes too much. Like it's just too much, So sometimes like I can do more with less.
Well,
and I try to keep that.
You just mentioned that it was, ZZ Top and Bo Diddley. Famously, those are two people that are two bands, or even, Bo Diddley, whenever he's with his bands, it's all stripped down. Like ZZ Top, famously a three-piece band. Of course, the late, great Dusty Hill just passed on us.
Yeah.
And I feel
it's unfortunate.
They're still playing. My goodness, they're on tour of Little Rock. They were in Little Rock, Arkansas, a couple of days ago, and I think last night they were in northwest Arkansas. So they're still making the rounds. The other two, I'm not sure who the third is now. But you talk about bands that got to keep going no matter what. After you lose a Dusty Hill, could you imagine? Like when Queen lost Freddie Mercury, and they still keep going. And Journey.
It's Journey is another one. And there's been so many like deaths that were hard hitting in music, and you almost have to wonder why. Like why? Like I don't know if there's just been so many bands and it's just what happens, or it's just hard living. We just lost Taylor Hawkins earlier this year, and we just like seemed like just a great, beautiful ball of energy and life, and it's just another one of those things that's like super depressing. It hurts your soul, and I think it's because like those are those people that just shine really bright and beautiful, and like when you lose those people, like you feel a little like lost yourself, like well, how did this happen? How are all these like terrible people walking the earth, and then you have these beautiful balls of light, and they're the ones that end up departing earlier.
Well, I have to agree with the shine and the brightness, the burning. But then I recently I was having a discussion about Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain and even Bon Scott. That they died early, and we canonize them. We kind of make them into saints. Wherever they died. Oh, Jim Morrison. He was the greatest songwriter of all time. Was he? Was he though? I mean, he died young. He wrote some pretty cool songs, but we kind of,
I think Jim Morrison was a victim of his own demons. And I don't think that he could control himself. Not that I knew him, or not that I want to pretend to know anything about him or anything like that, but just from his music, that's what I felt like. He knew how to connect to those demons that. To write these beautiful lyrics and whatnot, but then he couldn't put the demons to rest.
Yeah, by the same token.
And I think a lot of artists, especially when they're younger, they do that. They find themselves in that. They don't know how to put the demons to bed. Like they can, once you let them out of the box, and then they're there, and they don't know how to control them. And I feel like that's a real thing that some artists struggle with, and it is what it is. But
well, I mean, just those handful that I just mentioned, their songs, their candles still burn bright. They still inspire. Their songs have lasted the test of time. But I feel like it could be, mismanagement. It could be the teams. I'm thinking of Elvis. He had a biopic that just came out. I need to go check that out. But Elvis
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, and Colonel Tom Parker, I don't feel like he treated him as good as he possibly could have, or handled him.
There's a lot of like that sort of scandal that happens where people get taken advantage of, especially like when you're an artist, the art form, but you don't know how to manage money, or you don't know how to manage, like especially when you're younger, and it's it would be difficult to kind of navigate that, and especially when you're just like, I just want to be an artist and musician, I don't know how true this is, but I read a thing about Slash when from Guns N' Roses, and when he did their first tour, they were like huge megastars, and he was like, when the tour ended, he was missing for 2 weeks, and their manager found him living in a storage unit, and he went in there to the storage unit and asked him like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I spent all the money. And he was like, no, you spent the road money. He was like, you have a lot of other money. And he didn't know or understand that concept of like how much money he had or anything like that. And luckily he had a good team behind him to kind of like show him that. And he was like, oh, I thought I spent all the money because it was the money the per diem that you gave me on the road. And I thought that was what we were getting paid. And they were like, no, that's not what you were getting paid. So you don't have to live in a storage unit. Like I said, I don't know how true that story is, but I felt like, that it definitely resonated with me on some level. Like I read that, I think in a book or something. I don't even remember where I read that story, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, I mean, whether the story is true or not, and I've heard Slash on different podcasts. I don't remember him talking about that particular story, but his team, his people could have easily taken advantage of him, gone into his bank account, stripped him of all his wealth, and left him in that storage unit, thinking that, just show up on stage, play your guitar, and then back to the storage unit with you, as it were. But it's nice to have a team, which leads us to Watch Mojo and Sound Mojo. That's a team that you've kind of you've latched onto. It's nice to have people in your corner that can help you get to the next level. What is Watch Mojo and Sound Mojo helping you do? Helping Danny Schneider and the cultural Vultures helping? What are they helping with?
So when they first came out and everything, it was pretty new to them. They didn't really understand what the idea of a record label was going to be. They just were a bunch of guys, like me and like us that were like-minded, who just love music, and they had this platform. Watch Mojo was a pretty significant YouTube channel, and they, like I said, they had 22 million subscribers. So it was like sort of an offspring of that. And then they would promote like some of my music videos on the front end of their Watch Mojo videos, and like, check out this artist, and if you like the song that's playing, check them out. And I actually read the comments and just to see what people thought, and there was a huge positive response in that, which was good because I was expecting the reverse because it's the internet, and I was preparing myself for the worst. But there would be like 200 comments that and 190 of them were like thank you, this is really interesting, this is really beautiful, or whatever, thank you for introducing me to this. And so that's kind of how that went. And I don't think that it's really gone much bigger from that. They have a podcast now that they do on their Sound Mojo, and they've interviewed like D. Schneider from Twisted Sister, and like some bigger people like that have been on it. I did an interview on it not too long ago, and so that was pretty cool. And it's just all baby steps. It's just like everything in life. Like it's baby steps, and you take it one step at a time, and you don't realize you're really going anywhere. And then you look back and you're like, well, I did kind of accomplish something.
Well, you have accomplished something. You already have, thousands of people on your YouTube that are digging your music. There's other people that are, okay, you said you had 10,000 on your Instagram. That's pretty good. I mean, that's what, is that a measurement? I mean, if somebody gives you an award, is that a measurement? If somebody puts you up to be, the opener for Coldplay and Black Eyed Peas, is that a measurement? Yes, please. Yes, let's go. Let's go open.
That's a measurement for sure. And that's definitely like another step above, like where I was a week ago, or where I was, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely a step up, and it shows that like you're starting to make headway and do something, and which is pretty cool and pretty unique.
That's pretty cool. And now, how do people vote for you for that position to be a part of the show at the Hollywood Bowl? And when is that?
It's openact.com, and then you would go to Cultural Vultures, which is us, and then the voting opens on July 11th, and then you can just vote on it, and if you choose to, and then if we get in, then we'll go perform, and we'll do our best.
Well, I looked up openact.com, and it's all in French.
Let me check the website again. Give me 1 second.
No problem. I want to make sure that I give the people the right website.
That would be helpful, wouldn't it?
To find you, openact.com. Yeah, it's kind of
Opening Act.
Opening Act.
It's the openact.com.
Theopenact.com. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let me click that. Make sure I can find you and put that in the show notes and let the people know how to put Danny Schneider and the band. Is the whole band going with you?
Yeah, it would be everybody. It would be the strings, the guitars, me with the guitars, and then the whole band.
Well,
definitely would go.
Give some shout outs. Yeah, give some shout outs and we'll clear out of here. What's the give me the lineup of the band as it is?
I have Josh Sherkamp. He usually plays on all the albums on drums. He's and Richard Dinsky. He wrote all the music with me, and he kind of worked as my producer on all of this. And so, he was such a huge part of the process with me and everything, and getting everything recorded. Ben Gastrite. Will be he's been my bass player like pretty much the whole time, and Jonah Parsons, he's another guy, he's a friend of mine. He's in and out when he can, but he definitely said that he would be a part of this for sure. And so and then the string quartet, like they're like a revolving, that's a lot of them are from the Cincinnati Symphony, so it's pretty much kind of like who's available sort of thing. We've had everybody from a guy named Paul Patterson to a guy named Eric Bates, and but like they're all just amazing, musicians, and definitely like for me, it's great because I'm always the worst player in the room, even though I try to be the best. I'm like, I'll spend, there was a time when I was like working like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, like working on guitar and like that sort of thing like that. But like you never really feel like you're good enough. And but there's something that's humbling to me about being the worst player in the room, because it really pushes me to be better. And so, especially when you're playing with artists that are on, the symphony and that sort of thing, like it's a humbling experience, and it pushes me to be my best.
Well, I'm looking at the openact.com. Obviously, they don't have any of the voting up just yet. There's no place to really put you. There's a place to register. I'm guessing that you went there. But when the voting starts, you'll put it out on your, I'm guessing, on your Instagram. You'll have to put at least a post out there.
I put it out on that and the stories, and then on the Instagram and all of that stuff. So, hopefully something good comes from it, and if not, we'll just keep pushing and keep writing and doing what we do.
Well, I'll put this out in the next couple of days. You got any live shows that are coming up in the northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area?
No, not right now. We're just more focused on writing the new material and doing like that kind of stuff. We're doing like a live studio show, but that's about it though.
Is that going to be streaming on a YouTube page or an Instagram page or something?
Yeah, it would stream on YouTube, and then also go out to Sound Mojo. They like it when I do stuff like that too, because it keeps me kind of relevant.
Yeah. I mean, they have thousands of viewers. Hopefully, that gets you to the next level. I mean, that's what you're doing this for, is to try to get the word out to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's the use of putting these babies out there if nobody's there to listen? It'd be nice to have somebody listen and tell you did a good job, pat you on the head. You did a good job. I think you're doing a great job, Danny Schneider. Hey, man,
I appreciate it.
Let's finish this thing off with last words of the people. Whenever you feel like coming back on the What Makes You Famous podcast, you just come on around. We'll chit chat about what's happening now in the world of Danny Schneider. But for now, give the last words for the people.
I know. I appreciate you listening, and thank you for having me on the show. I'll keep trying to write something that I think is beautiful, and hopefully that you guys can relate to it too, and feel something from it. And I appreciate it beyond words. Anybody who listens and appreciates what I'm trying to do. So thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, party people. Danny Schneider, what a cool dude! Great American hero. If you heard any airplanes flying over, it's because he's an airport firefighter, and he was on duty. And every time one of those calls came up, his ears didn't perk up too much. I guess he knows the tones of his alarm sound, so he knows which ones he needs to pay attention to. But for me, every time that little radio started clicking and people started talking, I was perking up. Huh? Is that a call? Is there an airplane that's in trouble? Are there people in the airport that need assistance? Do you need to go save some lives? Yeah, lifesaver you. He's saving lives literally in physical form, and also metaphysically in musical form, because playing the right kind of music changes attitudes, changes lives, saves lives. I've heard so many people that say, that have told stories of fans coming up to them afterwards. I was feeling depressed, and I thought I might think about offing myself, and that song kind of changed my mind. So thank you for that. Now, oh my goodness, you just saved a life. It's a power that you have, my loyal musician, my singer songwriters out there. Thank you so much, Danny Schneider, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast once again. Hope to talk to you soon. Hey, and now, I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email KeysDAN@AOL.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.